Howdy guys, it's Joe here, and with the World Cup just ending just a little bit ago, some people compiled some data about the most used heroes and the least used heroes in the Overwatch World Cup, and, the Overwatch Competitive Esports Cup, and kind of what's been going on in the competitive scene, and we've got a little bit of information on who are being the most used characters right now, who are the best right now, who are the worst right now, and I kind of like to talk about that, and I'd also kind of like to talk a little bit about, kind of the future balance, and also talk a bit about how the PTR will change all of this, and how I'm actually kind of excited for the PTR to actually come out once you really look at the stats of this. Anyways, as we can see right here, let's just start off by looking at the best hero in the game right now, the most used hero with about a 97% pick rate, at least in the Overwatch World Cup. Of course, this is talking just about the World Cup, just World Cup stats, just so you know that. Only World Cup, not, random competitive games. Anyways, as far as the World Cup, as far as that rank, match team game goes, the first and most picked hero was actually Ana, with like a 97% play rate. And this is really ridiculous. We haven't seen a support with this high of a play rate since Lucio, and actually Ana was played even more than Lucio. I'm actually kind of amazed by this. We've never really seen any character in the entire game be played more than Lucio, and seeing somebody that's a little bit off of regular support being played like that, being played with that high of stats, is really, really cool and really interesting. Now, as well with this though, Ana is getting nerfed from the PTR, so I'd say that's probably a good idea, as of course, if Ana's being the most played support in the game, that means, the other supports aren't being played nearly as much, as we can see with, like, Mercy. She's being played way less, so maybe, either buff Mercy, nerf Ana. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see this, Ana's being played so much, and yeah, with Ana's nerfs in the PTR, I'm sure this will still be a pretty strong hero, but as well with the nerfs to Lucio, I don't know who's going to be good right now. I'm betting that, Ana's still going to be strong. Lucio's still really strong. Maybe Mercy can kind of have her time to shine. As well with that, Zenyatta's probably going to do pretty well as well. Probably not the best, but, do at least decent. As far as the next person, the second best, we have Lucio. Of course, tons of Lucio. Everybody's been picking Lucio for months. And yeah, we've been just seeing tons of Lucio on every single map. It's not really hard to guess that would happen. As far as the third person, it's actually a tank, and it's going to be Zarya. Now, Zarya's another character on the PTR that did get a nerf, and I'm actually kind of excited for that. Zarya's been this tank that has been very good at tanking, does a lot of DPS, and is the only character in the game that can stop, CC from happening on your teammates. And that's really ridiculous, as, you can save your own teammates, you can save, like, a Mercy with her res. It really makes so it's super hard to counterplay the Zarya player, as if you do break the shield, well, Zarya gets 50 charge and does a lot of damage, well, if you don't break the shield, well, that person can just run around CC free. It's very strong, and I am actually kind of glad that Zarya's getting a nerf. 20% nerf to her shield as far as money that she gets back, or gets power that she gets back, so it's a pretty good nerf, and I'm very glad to see that as well. But it is interesting that we saw Zarya even more than Reinhardt. And as far as the next character, we also have Reinhardt for another tank. And it's kind of cool, as we have two supports and two tanks. And these people were played in really the majority of games. A lot of games we saw these characters. As far as Reinhardt, the really number one thing that was kind of confusing about him is that actually he got less play rate on offense than he did on King of the Hill, which is really weird. Usually you think, offense you have a lot of Reinhardt, but no, it's actually kind of different, which is a little bit different. And I'm thinking this is probably because Ana was so strong, Ana was so prevalent. You ult that Reinhardt, and on King of the Hill you just run in, deal a lot of damage to people on the point. That's probably why. It's kind of cool though, that we got to see a tank here. But, of course, Reinhardt has been a tank that's been played pretty much forever. Reinhardt and Lucio are in the same boat. They've been played for months. They're probably some of the strongest characters in the game. They probably will be really forever just because how good their kits are, unless they're nerfed hugely. But yeah, of course, Reinhardt's still a really good character. Now, as far as to the fifth spot, and the actually only offensive spot, it was McCree, which I was kind of, somewhat expecting. Right underneath him, we got Reaper and Mei. So, those are, some of those other kind of decent damaging heroes. But as far as this patch, McCree still does seem to be the best offensive hero in the game. And until Season 3 does come out, I'm thinking McCree is going to continue to be the best offensive hero. Now, once Season 3 does come out, I am assuming that Soldier is going to just pop up. Soldier's very strong in the PTR. And as well with Ana, Soldier just does work. And as well with Sombra, that mixture of those three just completely decimates enemy teams. I'm guessing Soldier's going to pop up. McCree's probably going to get a lot less of a play rate. And McCree might be like a counter to Reaper. Other than that, I'm not sure how much we're going to see him, though. I think he's going to fall at least a little bit from where he is right now. Probably not to the unplayable zone where Soldier is right now, but to a zone where he's more in, like, the middle of the list as far as play rate. Now, there we go with the best heroes. Those are the heroes that are being played the most as far as, the meta right now. Of course, the meta is going to change a bit, and that's why I'm talking about the future meta. But yeah, as far as the meta right now, as far as the World Cup, as far as having a full team of 6, these are the heroes that seem to be played the most. Now, as far as the least played heroes, first off, we got to start off with your boy Torbjorn. And yeah, this guy has really been not played way too much, really forever. There's just not really way too much, like, amazing about him. He's not, like, the most jank character in the game, while at the same time, he's not really the most stable character in the game. Of course, his turret is just really easy to focus and kill if your entire team's going after it. and he doesn't really have the most consistent DPS or really the most accurate DPS. It's overall just very hard to play him. And as far as this meta goes right now, Season 2, I really don't see anything happening for him. In the PTR, he did get some nice buffs so that, of course, he can heal his turret faster, which I don't feel like will do, honestly, way too much. But the really nice buff is that his E now automatically generates, so you can give your shields, your teammates, a few armor shields, which is really nice. I'm still not sure how much that's going to push him up. I'm sure it's going to push him, like, above Symmetra, but other than that, I'm not exactly sure for now. As far as another guy, the second worst character as far as it goes right now in, the World Cup, we got Soldier 76. And yeah, Soldier, I was seeing this. Soldier was being played little to none. We saw him like once or twice. Soldier was really, in at least this patch, a very bad version of McCree. Almost no reason to pick him. He kind of fits some team comps, but other than that, not really. As far as the PTR goes, I think that he's going to be amazing. Season 3, he's going to be amazing. He does a ton of damage. He reloads his clip from his ultimate very fast now. And as well with this, he just has a really lot of nice combos, especially with Sombra. He does really good. He has a lot of stuff that he can do. And just his overall DPS is kind of ridiculous right now. I'm thinking that it might get nerfed. If it doesn't, though, I think he's going to be one of the best offensive heroes. And yeah, just one of the highest DPS heroes in the game, which could be kind of nice to have someone like that. As far as the third least played, we have Widowmaker. Was played a bit more than Soldier for once. But yeah, a little bit of Widowmaker, sometimes on offense. That's just about it. It was kind of awkward because people would pretty much just pick Widowmaker to try to get one jank kill at the beginning. And then they'd either, keep playing her, try to get a few more jank kills, or, get a jank kill, go back to spawn, switch to like a tracer, and then go back to the point. That's what we really saw quite a bit. It was a little bit awkward, kind of weird to see with the character. Pretty much you just play Widowmaker and then you kind of switch. So that kind of, varies up her play rate a little bit. But yeah, I'd say, she's an okay character, I guess. As far as, the PTR buffs, I feel like these are going to help her quite a bit. Honestly, I don't know how much. I feel like the fact that, of course, Sombra can hack Reinhardt's shield is really going to be the thing that puts her and, Soldier 76 up a lot. Give a bit of counterplay to that, and then, once Reinhardt can't shield anymore, Widowmaker can just one-shot those supports in the backline, and she can kill them a lot easier now with the 20% faster charge. So I'm thinking she's going to do good. I'm thinking she's going to be pretty strong in the third season. Maybe not the strongest, though. Now for Junkrat, and with Junkrat, we really didn't see him way too much. We saw him a little bit on defense, and that's really all we saw him right here. And overall, as far as competitive goes, as far as the top tier gameplay goes, Zarya just really counters Junkrat. Pharah also really counters Junkrat. A lot of people counter Junkrat. McCree can even kind of counter Junkrat. Anna kind of counters Junkrat as far as the range goes. So it was kind of awkward with him. We didn't really see him way too much. And we haven't really gotten much like huge buffs on the PTR for Junkrat. We got a few small ones, but those are about it. So I'm assuming he's going to stay pretty low down. He's not going to really be played way too much. And I feel like he's a character that's very awkward and very hard to balance. As if you make him too strong, I feel like a lot of people that are really not in, the highest competitive mode are going to complain because he's just a character that kind of shoots around corners, that kind of just randomly shoots around places, and that's really annoying to deal with if you aren't, in a competitive team. So I don't really know how Blizzard can fix this. I don't know how they can balance him for competitive esports. I feel like he's just going to probably have to be down here while he's going to continue doing pretty well in the regular competitive mode. And now to the final and fifth least played character. We got Bastion, who was actually higher than I suspected. We did get a small amount of time seeing him. Sometimes you saw a little bit of jank on defense. Sometimes you saw a little bit of jank on offense, where he just jump on the payload and then just try to hope the best that your Reinhardt and Zarya can protect him. That worked a little bit. And then I think we saw him like once or twice on King of the Hill. That was kind of funny as well. So yeah, Bastion, he got a decent amount of play. Of course, with these other characters, I feel like he got really not enough. And as far as the PTR goes, he hasn't gotten any buffs in the PTR. So I am feeling a little bit bad for Bastion. I do want him to be buffed. I want something to happen to him, something to make him more playable, and also something to like give him more counterplay while giving him more options to do stuff. I feel like right now he's just kind of like set to doing like one, maybe two things. And I wish that he could do more, but he just can't right now, and there really doesn't seem to be much of a change. So I feel like a lot of the people below Bastion will probably move up, and Bastion will probably fall down just a little bit more. Now, as far as the characters not in the top 5 best or the worst, Symmetra, of course, is getting a rework. She's very close to the bottom, so that makes sense. D.Va's getting a buff, and that's pretty nice. Pharah's getting a buff nerf, if you want to call it that. So Pharah could actually turn out to be like an amazing character, or she could turn out to be like a decent character. I don't really know, but yeah, overall the meta is seeming to be pretty good. I'm liking how they're buffing most people. I'm liking how they're nerfing the actual, top tier characters. I do kind of wish that we'd eventually get a Reinhardt nerf. I guess the Sombra, just being introduced into the game is a very big nerf to Reinhardt, so maybe that's why they haven't been nerfing him for the last few months, but it is still kind of awkward to not see him be nerfed, even though he's been played really like the most out of any hero or at least, you know, the most consistently other than Lucio. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of have to wait to see what goes on from there. But yeah, overall, I'm liking this. I'm hoping that it does work out well. I'm hoping that, you know, we get a little bit more diversity. Still, as you can see, a lot of characters get played just a ton more than other characters. So I'm hoping that the meta can maybe be changed just a little bit in the future. Just make it a bit more balanced. Just, you know, keep chugging in. And yeah, I do feel like we are going in a pretty good direction. Of course, the Overwatch team has been putting in a lot of time into the game, so I feel like it is working decently well. Now, with all these statistics now under your belt, I will say to you guys, please remember that just because someone's, you know, the best in esports or the most or least played in esports, doesn't mean that they're necessarily amazing in your own competitive games or necessarily terrible in your own competitive games. Essentially, this just means that the characters are very good in a full team of 6 with very competent players, and you don't really know that might not always actually happen in all your competitive games. So just take this list with a grain of salt. Don't always 100% play, you know, the best heroes in Overwatch esports. That might not always work for you. Just play who's working for you and just play who you're really doing well with. This is just kind of a list to see how the meta's going and just kind of seeing what might happen in the meta in the future, as I feel like a lot of people like watching esports and I like to just talk about it a bit. Anyways, with that said, if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, comment down below your own ideas on this list, and as well with that, press subscribe if you want to see any more videos in the future. And as well with all of this, thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a wonderful day.